The San Antonio Spurs have a legit shot at the first or second overall pick in this coming draft.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. I want to talk about some scenarios for our Spurs that could happen in the NBA draft and some directions we can go in. The positives are going one way and the positives are going the other, and then, of course, some negatives that may accompany those as well. While I'm doing so, drop a comment down below your thoughts, which direction you'd like to see the franchise go in. Let me know the recent change I've slightly made to the videos if you'd like the way I'm doing them now. Hit that thumbs up like sport if you're a Spurs fan, and subscribe for more Spurs content. I can't talk. Anyway, let's get into it. If the Spurs get the first overall pick, no doubt in my mind they're drafting Victor Wembanyama. Any team, I think, is drafting him first. And if they do draft Victor, our starting lineup would be Victor, Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson, Demasel, and I do think they would re-sign Tre Jones, and he would be our starter next season. I have seen you guys say in the comments, maybe the Spurs would re-sign Yak and have Jakob Poeltl and Victor Wembanyama in the starting lineup with Victor playing power forward. I don't see that happening. Jeremy Sohan is our starting power forward for the foreseeable future. Yes, he's had some ups and downs this season, but he's shown a lot of promise. And I have to think of the Spurs draft Victor, Jakob is going to leave to free agency. That being said, let's talk about Victor Wembanyama a little bit. He can do a little bit of everything on offense. Finish, create transitions. We take a little clip here. Here he's out in three-point land, goes right by his man, and then finishes at the rim, which is no problem for him because he's huge. He's 7'5" with like an 8-foot wingspan. I've read somewhere that he can dunk without jumping, and he's going to be a great shot blocker and going to be on top of that. And just look at what he's done statistically this year with Metropolitans. 22 points per game, about 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 assists. The only really negative, at least statistically with Victor, is that 28% from three-point land. If you're going to be shooting 28%, then maybe you should be taking about 1, maybe 2 threes a game, not 5 threes a game like he currently is, but whatever. I mean, I can't see him taking that many threes in the NBA. He is such a generational talent, the most hyped up player, I'm guessing, in the draft since LeBron James, and he will take a franchise and instantly probably make them a playoff team if he can stay healthy. The one big concern, the major concern I have with Victor Wembanyama is he is very tall and very thin. And I'm not trying to attack his physique, but players of this stature tend to have a ton of injuries, especially leg injuries. Look no further than a recent first-round pick, top 3 pick. I think he was picked second or third overall, and Chet Holmgren with the Thunder, who is out for the year. He reminds me a bit of Manute Bol, who was like 7'6" and just thin, as just so thin. And that scares me. If the Spurs were to land Victor, the one big concern I would have is how durable is he going to be? Can he play at least 70 games a year? If he's missing a half a season here, a half a season there, how much is he really helping us? There's also, with that thin frame, the concern that he might get bullied in the paint by bigger, stronger centers. Now, he is young. He could bulk up. He could stand to put on a good maybe 20, 25 pounds at least, and maybe he will as he continues to grow hopefully muscle and maybe a little fat on that frame, not continue to grow this way. I hope he doesn't keep growing taller because that could be a major issue with him and it could be a health concern if he was to continue growing in height. Now, there's one thing I haven't mentioned yet. You guys might be sitting here talking about, this scenario, we draft Victor, he's starting at center. You have Tre Jones starting at guard. What about, I have not forgotten Blake Wesley. He's the catch-22 here. He's been injured and had a knee issue and he's missed most of the season so far. I expect Tre Jones to be the starter next season unless Blake Wesley absolutely just destroys it the rest of the season. The problem is he going to have enough opportunities to get minutes to show us what he can do? And missing all that time, has it slowed his progression? I don't know. But at the very least, having Blake Wesley back is good because it creates competition for Tre Jones. If you haven't noticed lately, Tre Jones has been playing much better. And I see analysis saying, well, he's picking up the slack because of Devin Vassell's out right now. Yeah, maybe. But also, when you got a guy that might be trying to take your job in the foreseeable future, that better motivate you, and I think it is in Tre Jones' case. So that's a scenario. If we get the first overall pick, there's also a very good chance the Spurs could get the second overall pick, in which case we draft Scoot Henderson, who's currently right now with the G League. And he missed some time this year with an injury. I think it was a knee injury, ankle injury, something with the leg. Oddly enough, I'm talking about injury concerns with Victor Wembanyama, and he's dealt with some injuries this season. First thing that jumps out to me with Scoot Henderson, though, if you look at him statistically, is His 3-point percentage was terrible last year, and granted, it's very, very limited sample size right now so far this season. But right now, he's shooting 40%, 47% at the time of the video. If he can be at least a 40% 3-point shooter on our Spurs team, wow, that would be a major oomph to the roster because our 3-point shooting in the starting lineup is lacking to say the least. Scoot Henderson, a great athlete, scoring, playmaking ability. We'll take a little clip here at Scoot Henderson. He's going to get the steal, and then he's off to the races. See ya, here I go. And yes, boom, chakalaka. He can finish at the rim. I believe I read he's about 6'4". Any negatives? He's streaky, which, quite frankly, Spurs fans, we could say about the entire Spurs roster right now. I swear, our guys are just, it's like a dang roller coaster out there watching the team. I tuned into game last night's game. They just got the score down to 4 points. I'm like, oh, they're making a comeback after, I saw the huge New York Giants win. And then the coldly derailed and the Spurs lost to the Kings. And of course, once I turn it on, they start playing like doo doo. And he can have a little issue with turnovers, which is expected with a young player. So if we were to draft Scoot Henderson, I think the starting lineup would be Jakob Poeltl. I fully expect the San Antonio Spurs to re-sign him. Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson, Demisel, and then of course Scoot. So I do think Jeremy, Keldon, and Devin, that two through four spot is pretty much secured and locked up for the next 3 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years. Question for me, maybe a lot of Spurs fans, is the 1 and the 5. Now that I've gone over these scenarios a little bit, talked about each player a little bit, and both players are going to maybe make the Spurs a playoff team right away. You guys been saying in comments on my videos, we're one player away. Maybe it could be one of these players that takes us to the next level. What would be TSR Sports' choice if I had to pick? Well, I'm gonna do a little pipe dream here, type of fantasy land. The ideal situation for me would be this: we get the first overall pick, we draft Victor Wembanyama, and he stays healthy, and then everybody else continues to progress, especially the young players, Blake Wesley and Jeremy Sohan. And the next season, as early as next season, our starting lineup from 5-1 is Victor Wembanyama, Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and Blake Wesley. With this lineup, we at least would have a boost, I think, in 3-point shooting because now we have a center that can shoot the three. I've got it. I'm hoping Jeremy Sohan's 3-point shooting gets better for next season. But what really is going to help change this team with this lineup is right now you can just collapse the paint on us, and you're not really threatened by 3-point shooting unless Doug McDermott's in there or Josh Richardson. Brandon, maybe not. Teams have focused on shutting down Keldon Johnson, and he struggled a lot this year. His amount of shots is up, but his efficiency is way down. And if you got Victor Wembanyama out there, this generational franchise talent, that's going to open things up for Keldon, for Jeremy, for Devin, and for Blake. Looking in the wrong direction. They're over there. It's going to help them so much and give us so much more floor spacing. And yes, sure, I'm sure Victor Wembanyama is going to struggle in his rookie season. He'll have some ups, he'll have some downs. But how are you going to stop a guy that's 7'5" in the paint? Besides just muscling him out, which because of his frame, some centers will probably be able to do. But could this team, and this is the final question I want to ask you, Spurs fans, if this was our starting lineup 3 years from now, and everybody continues to progress the way that we hope they can, could this team win a championship? Keldon's 18 to 20 points per game, and his efficiency levels back to 50% field goal percentage, 40% plus 3-point percentage. Devin's doing his thing, 18 to 20. Someone's out there being a pest defensively, pinching guys' nipples and distracting. What all the nonsense he's doing, still coloring his hair. Blake Wesley becomes a point guard that we think he can be, and then Victor becomes the next David Robinson, Tim Duncan, once in a lifetime first round type of pick Spur. Can they win a championship? Yes, I do think so. If the stars lined up perfectly. Of course, the biggest if is if we're able to draft Victor, because we have to get the first overall pick and win that lottery ping pong thing. If this did happen, though, Spurs fans, this would be the cherry on well, not cherry on top. This would just end up being the perfect rebuild for the San Antonio Spurs because this starting lineup would not only be 5 first-round picks drafted by our team, with 3 of them being lottery picks, but our 6-man, in this scenario, will be Malachi Branham, also a first-round pick. And that's the type of team I love to watch and root for, a homegrown team. When the Milwaukee Bucks won a championship, well, I'm not a Bucks fan per se. Seeing Giannis stay in Milwaukee when he could have left and went to a bigger market and win a championship, that was a nice feeling. And hopefully the Spurs can get the number 1 pick, grab Victor, Victor becomes a Giannis type player, 25 to 30 points per game, opens everything, just does so much for us and opens everything else up for the other players. And they hopefully step up their game too. And whoever our coach is at the time, because I don't think Pop will be here for 3, 4 years from now, whoever coach is, hopefully he's the next coach leading a San Antonio Spurs dynasty. I know this is all fantasy land, but I wanted to have some fun and think positive. There's a lot of negativity with our team. I have a hard time watching the game sometimes. What really hurt me with land. I'll just close up this little quick channel update. You guys know I haven't been live much. A lot of games have been blacked out recently. The NFL playoffs are here, and it's just tough to stream on the weekends. This week, I can't do any games. I was watching the Giants game last night. The game coming up on Wednesday's blacked out. I think it's the Nets or Knicks or Celtics. It's one of the teams here up on the East Coast that's blacked out for me. And then the Friday night game, I can't do it because it's Friday. And I was just like, you know what? Uh, I'll just go live when I can. I'll post when I can and try not to commit to anything moving forward. But just watching our guys get crushed, and I know that those of you that went to the game in the Alamo Dome, I'm sure it was an amazing experience. But seeing the Spurs lose by 30, it really, it's so hard. It's so hard right now. And the team has only lost since I started the channel. Finally, the Giants are surprisingly good, but the Spurs still haven't turned that corner yet. And what really just kind of hurt me with live Spurs games is going to the game in Texas, two games, but the second one specifically against the Suns, and it was amazing meeting all the fans, Sean Elliott, um, just an awesome experience. But seeing our guys down by, what were we down by 20 or 30 at the half? The game was over, and we've had far too many games this year when we've been down by 20 at the half, and you're just like, I could be doing something else. I still watch the games. Just to let you know when I'm not live, I still watch as much as I can. And I think moving forward, it'll probably, you guys suggest this before, maybe just a game of the week. Right now, maybe I can just commit to a game of the week, one game a week. But I'm enjoying doing content like this again, talking about the team, getting your feedback. What do you want to see for the Spurs? What would be your pipe dream scenario? Would your pipe dream scenario be we get Vicar and like land a huge free agent? I don't know. Braun comes to the team with Bronny. He's free to go from the Lakers, and then Braun makes one last championship run with the Spurs with Victor Wembanyama. I don't know. That'd be weird, but whatever. But I'm enjoying doing these type of these type of videos again, along with the recap I recently did. This has been fun, and doing this new format that I guess is kind of a PowerPoint, almost a hybrid PowerPoint. Instead of just one static picture and kind of switching back and forth between pictures, it's been fun, and I found a way to do that, and I'm enjoying the content again, and hope to have one or two videos like this a week, one or two highlight videos, the NBA highlight shorts I've been doing. You're going to see a little more Kobe over the next 2 weeks. The anniversary of his passing is coming up. He was one of my favorite players to watch, so I want to do some videos on him. And then, well, that's all I got. I don't know. I'm rambling. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you all, and as always, go Spurs, go!